folks, today I'm coming to you from our vegetable garden. This is one of the raised beds which we did 2 years ago, and in here previous fall I set a few apple seeds to germinate, and they produced those lovely apple seedling plants, but they cannot continue to grow here in the seed starting bed, so they have to be dug out and planted out. I really haven't decided yet on their permanent place, but as the winter is rather mild, I would say even non-existent so far, I decided to not wait till spring and just dig those out and move them. So I wanted to take you along. I'm having a drink of our homemade properly fermented buza drink, which is basically liquid bread, very fulfilling and super delicious. And let's get to work. So first of all, let's take a closer look at the seedlings. This is one of the two bigger ones. This is the largest, and it's about 35, and the other one is about 40 centimeters, and those are very much smaller, maybe no more than 10 centimeters. I'm grateful for all the seedlings which I have, because wild apples are not exceedingly common here, and I have a selection of apples in our home orchard, so I really need rootstock to graft. But also when grafting, I'm always leaving one of the original stems or branches of the seedling plant, because I want to see the original genetics expressed. What's more is that if you have this apple, and I will snip the top of it when I'm planting, and it will start to branch out, and you later on graft one or two of the branches and leave one or two of the original growth, original plant, then you have a high chance of assisted pollination or cross pollination, meaning that you have 2, 3 or more varieties on a single plant, which is always better for cross pollinating when the apples are in bloom, so you get better fruit set and better results overall. So I just moved the mulch a bit here so we can see the plants better, and I'll put the camera down and start digging and see what I can do. Oh, and before that, I wanted to show you another plant which I dug out from this spot. It's an apricot seedling, one of many seeds which I planted, but only one of them germinated. It will be a bit hard to show it here. Maybe I'll need some something like a background. Let's see how I manage. Okay, so I'll be using my wheelbarrow to show you the plant. You can see that this seedling, it grew from here, and it's about 40 centimeters high above ground, and the root is the same length, and I managed to dig out the whole length of the root right to the very tip of the taproot, which is the most important root for a seedling plant. This means that if I manage to plant this properly and not damage this root, and this root takes, this seedling will be much more resilient than most of the plants which you can buy from a nursery. And I'll explain more about that while I'm digging out the apples. Okay, so one of the main motivations to grow seedling plants, seedling trees, is to be able to preserve the taproot of the plant. When you buy a seedling from a nursery, especially bare root seedlings, they're dug out from a propagation bed, and in 99% of the cases the taproot is damaged. It's cut while digging out. So this taproot, it never recovers, and good morning. And this taproot is very important for the health and the longevity of the plant. It's like an anchor that goes as deep as possible in the soil and makes the plant much more resilient to drought, to high winds, to adverse weather, to bad growing conditions. This is the root which can dig through rocks, and if you ever saw a tree growing on a rocky outcrop or a similar challenging location, the main reason that this is possible at all is the taproot of the plant. If you took even a small plant from a nursery with a cut taproot and planted it there, it's very hard for it to establish, and most of the time the taproot does not recover. So it's always good to breed the plants from seed, especially if you can dig them out fully, and also be able to keep the taproot while planting them out. Now, another thing I wanted to show you, you can see here that our soil, this is from the hole where I dug the apricot seedling, is currently very moist and it comes out in clumps. It's a very high clay content soil, vertisol is the classification name, and if you apply pressure to that, if you walk on that, or if you dig it with a spade, it compresses to basically the consistency of a clay pot. But even though it's heavy and very moist and it comes out in very sticky clumps, you can see that thanks to the microscopic life in the soil and all the roots that are present, the clump is very easily broken apart. So while in lots of little worms here, while this type of soil does not lend itself to digging and very easy digging with your hands or small tools, it's actually very well structured. Those little clumps, you can see how easily it falls apart, but it doesn't fall apart to very small pieces. This is a very well structured soil, but it will never be very friable. It will never have a perfect tilth. The only way of improving it is with organic matter, and we're doing that constantly by keeping it mulched. All that straw is being incorporated into the soil multiple times per year. We also use winter cover crops such as winter rye, and we also add our homemade compost as well. So even though it sticks to the tools and it really doesn't like to be dug, our soil is very rich in soil life, and it's one of the best soils worldwide for water retention. So we can get away with stuff like watering once per 10 days, even in the height of summer, So let's see what we managed to do here. See how much it sticks to the digging fork. I'm not using a spade or a shovel, because it creates these polished surfaces in the soil, which are very hard to break apart later. Basically, if you dig a square hole by 4 cuts with a spade, you're creating a clay pot in the soil. Okay, so you can see now that the plants are moving when I'm pressing the digging fork, which means that I have dug under their main root. So I'll now be trying to separate them gently. Even the side roots are not as important to me. Of course, it's not a tragedy if I don't manage to get the whole main root, but yep, this is it. Perfect little baby apple. You can see probably that the roots are much longer than the above ground growth. So this is perfectly dug out up to the very tip of the root, and this has very high chance of taking whenever I decide to plant it. I'll just put that aside and try to work my way. I'm sorry I was interrupted by the kids, but in the meantime I managed to dig out the other one, and now I'm using my hand so I can feel where the resistance is. This is the third little seedling. You can see that this one made 3 times the size of the stem deep taproot. This means that this specific genetics tends to make much deeper taproot. Look at that. This is easily 50 centimeters of taproot, and I think that I might have broken the tip off, but it's still an amazing plant, amazing taproot. And those other ones, they will need a little bit more persuasion. So I had to postpone a bit the digging out. Our toddler needed to sleep, so I had to walk him with the stroller around the village. And now I return to finish what I've started. This video is cursed. Now the battery of the phone died. Okay, so this is the fourth seedling which I dug out. Very nice developed roots as well. I managed to get the whole root up to the very tip. It already started to split here. I will remove the side stem. So it can focus on growing vertically more. And I have to clean my digging fork after each dig because the soil is very sticky, as you can see. I'm now carefully digging out the biggest of the bunch. Wow, great! Look at that. Amazing, great looking root system. Very thick roots. This one has the thickest roots, so I suspect it will be the quickest growing of all. Very well branched out and straight stem. This will have a special place. Maybe I will even keep that somewhere in the garden. The other ones I plan to plant out in the wild, so we can have more wild rootstock to work with for my future grafting efforts. Okay, so the final seedling. This was the other one, which was relatively bigger. It came out smoothly. Look at that. This is some wheat. I'm just shaking a bit of the dirt so I can see the roots better. Yes, this has more of a clumping root system, but this is the tap root. I'm very pleased with the result, and I'll be tiny worm, and I'll be starting more seedlings in the future. So the day is coming to an end here. The sun is setting now. I won't be having enough time to go on and dig holes for those and pick the places in the first place. So they'll spend the night in a bucket full of some sand, moist sand. They can even spend the whole winter there, no problem, in the basement or somewhere where it's not too hot but it won't freeze. But I'll probably go tomorrow to plant them out. Maybe I'll make another video out of that. So that was all for today, and I'll see you the next time.